Welcome to part 4 of the Xiana Fairchild case. As a reminder, topics may be triggering. Viewer and listener discretion is advised. People mentioned are innocent until proven guilty in court. On December 8th of 1999, a day before Xiana went missing, Curtis Dean Anderson lost his Vallejo city cab job after lying on an application. When confronted about the discrepancies, he quit. He had the audacity to tell reporters, and I quote, "If I hadn't lost my job and continued to have a place to live, she'd probably still be here," unquote, which, to be completely honest, which I always am, I call bullshit. If that is true, then the sky is red. Bobby and Antoinette told reporters that in an August 15th, 2000 San Francisco Chronicle article interview that a mutual friend introduced a man who walked with a limp and cane who everyone called Dean. They had him over at their home in November and December of 1999. Antoinette recalls a day when Xiana was dropped off by a family friend at their Georgia Street studio while Dean was there. She says, and I quote, "He didn't seem to take any particular notice of Xiana. His interest wasn't in her," unquote, and that he was interested in getting Bobby's mechanical skills to help his friend's Chevy get fixed. Bobby and Curtis were at San Quentin together between 1995 and 1996. In November of 1999, Curtis drove Xiana to school on the days she missed the bus. On December 6th of 1999, a woman who knew Xiana saw her talking to a man in a tan car in the area she would walk to school. 3 days before Xiana disappeared, a witness who also personally knew Xiana saw Curtis Dean Anderson talking to her. On the morning of Xiana's disappearance on December 9th of 1999, 2 witnesses saw Xiana talking to Curtis Dean in his tan 1984 Oldsmobile Firenze at a Vallejo gas station located on the same street where Xiana lived. This real-life kukui kidnapped Xiana Fairchild on December 9, 1999. He probably would not have been caught if it was not for the miraculous escape of Mitzi Sanchez. On December 18, 1999, Antoinette sees Dean at Xiana's volunteer center offering his help to find her. In early 2004, Curtis Dean told investigators that he kidnapped Xiana, held her for weeks, and had videotaped her. He confessed to her brother and cellmates of kidnapping and killing Xiana. They claimed not to believe him because he had the tendency of telling lies. From October 2000 to January 2001, after Xiana's skull was found along Highway 17, Curtis called Stephanie and demanded money from her to keep Xiana alive, $75 a week to keep her alive. She would not give him anything until he showed her proof that she was still alive, which he never did. He once sent her a letter saying, and I quote, "I like that button-up black sweater you wore Saturday. Wear it on Wednesday and put your hair up," unquote. He also told her that he told Xiana he was going to take her to Disneyland to get her into the car, and she did, kept her for 2 weeks, and then gave her away. Around the time they found Xiana's skull, he told reporters that his first kidnap, rape, and murder happened in 1984 and had done it a dozen times. It ended up being Xiana's skull, and they found it 20 miles away from the mobile home park where he was arrested after Mitzi Sanchez escaped from his wrath. I will do an episode on the Mitzi Sanchez case as well. In May of 2004, the Santa Clara County prosecutor announced he filed charges against Curtis Dean for the kidnapping, sexual assault, and murder of Xiana. Although these charges made him eligible for the death penalty, the decision to pursue it had not been made. At this point, he was moved from San Quentin to Corcoran State Prison. He was arraigned for these charges on May 12 of 2004. According to a May 12, 2004 Times Herald article, Antoinette and Bobby had moved out of state. A June 24th, 2000 West County article states and warns people about two men standing outside a grocery store in Fremont. Others reports fake people going door to door asking for donations to raise money in Xiana's case and keeping the money for themselves. At the time of Xiana's disappearance, there were 300 registered sex offenders in Vallejo. 100 of them lived within 1 mile of Xiana. Curtis Dean Anderson was not a registered sex offender, thus not one of the 100 men that the police questioned. In December of 2005, Curtis Dean Anderson pled guilty for the murder of Xiana Lashay, Kapuali'I, Fairchild, in exchange for the death penalty to be taken off the table, and was sentenced to an additional 50 years. After pleading guilty, he told reporters that he only pleaded guilty so he could return to his state prison cell where he had the freedom to walk outside. On what would have been her 9th birthday, friends and family of Xiana held a ceremony near the Lexington Reservoir in Los Gatos, where her remains were found in January of 2001, just her skull. They released 9 purple balloons, Xiana's favorite color. Xiana's real mommy said, and I quote, "I wish we could celebrate your birthday with you. I'm sorry for what happened to you. I will see you when I get up there," unquote. She added that, and I quote, "Every time he would drive up and down these hills when he lived nearby, he knew he had left her body here," unquote. We reached the end of today's episode. Thank you so much for coming down the rabbit hole where I currently live. Be sure to watch out for the next episodes where I talk about the Mitzi Sanchez case and the real kukui, Curtis Dean Anderson, and everything else he's done and has confessed to. But yeah, if you have any questions or concerns, let me know if you have a case you'd like me to cover. If you want a copy of my references, email yayareahousewife@gmail.com, and I'd be happy to send you my notes and references. If you have a case in mind as well, send it over to me. I'll see you chismosas y chismosos in the next video. Bye!